Tim Collins with Cullman Today. I'm back in the office of Senator Paul Bussman for our weekly update on Senate matters in Montgomery. Senator, can you bring us up to date? What happened this last week?
We had a pretty good week in the Senate. Things are very quiet. There's not a whole lot of controversy going on right now. I expect there will be some in the next week or two. We did get all the sunset bills passed, all 28 of them. That's a major hurdle for the Senate because that is a notorious filibuster process. We got through that without any filibusters, which was a tremendous thing for us. Now we're ready to move on to the budgets, and hopefully this coming week we'll start looking at the general fund budget. That's in the Senate this time. The education budget's in the House to start with this time, so we have to deal with the general fund. We're looking forward to getting that done, getting it down to the House, and trying to get the budgets out early this year. And if we can do that, that'll be a tremendous movement in the right direction.
Sounds like it. Now, can we backtrack just a second? I don't think everyone knows what a sunset law or sunset ordinance is. Can you kind of explain that briefly?
I can. I'm chairman of the Sunset Committee in the Senate. And what we do, we have boards and agencies that have to be confirmed or they have to be extended for a longer period of time. And we can extend boards for 4 years without reviewing them. But every 4 years they've got to come before sunset. They've got to be reviewed, and then they've got to be moved forward for another 4 years by the Senate. And if some reason they don't get that movement, then that board will be dissolved.
Well, if you're the chairman of that committee, it must be a relief to have that kind of out of the way and on to other matters.
It is, considering we had 28 of them this year, and the minority could have talked an hour and 10 minutes on each of those bills. I could have been at the podium for 28, 29, 30 hours, and to get through that without doing that was it was a good week.
It sounds like a great week. Now, we talked a little bit last week about the budget. I think we have an understanding of that. Any other new business that you think is important that came out of the Senate this last week?
Yeah, I think there's one that's really coming forward, and that is the minimum wage bill out of Birmingham. The Birmingham City Council, I believe, passed the minimum wage increase, which would set an $8.50 minimum wage starting on March 1st. And then next year it would go to $10.10 an hour. One of the Mountain Brook representatives has put in a bill that would stop that from happening. And so what they're doing is they're taking a local piece of legislation and making it a statewide bill. That will cause a lot of controversy. As we know, we don't like to mess with local bills. And it's my concern that if we stop Birmingham from doing something that they want, whether we agree with it or not, there's going to come a time when I'm going to need something, or the citizens of my district are going to need something very badly, and the Jefferson County delegation will stop that. So it's going to be up this week or next week. I know it comes out of the basket from the House, and that's going to be a very interesting discussion, and it's going to be an interesting vote when the time comes.
It sounds like it will, and I know we've got citizens out on the street publicly in the middle of it, so it will be interesting. I'm going to switch gears on you here, talk a little bit about a local situation, Highway 157 across the north part of City of Cullman. We've got the question about St. Bernard's out in front of that. Well, can you just give us the facts on where we are from your knowledge in regards to those roadways?
Well, I talked to Mr. Cooper, who's the director of ALDOT, about 3 weeks ago. And I basically told him, don't tell me any 5-year plan, 6-year plan, 10-year plan. Tell me when we can reasonably expect Highway 157 to be done. He pulled out a list of the top 10 most busy highways in the state of Alabama. We are one of the top 10. We're not the top one, but we're one of the top 10. I think we're number 7. We spend $30 million a year on new construction. Okay, the number one most traveled highway in the state of Alabama is in South Alabama, and it's down in the Mobile area. That has a price tag of $160 million on that one project. So if you take the $30 million that we spend a year on construction, you can see that that's going to take anywhere from 5 to 6 years of full payment from our construction cost. And so I would expect that we're still looking at 5, 6, maybe 7 years. We're going to continue to work on it. We're going to continue to push ALDOT. I'm hoping for 2019 That's the goal that I've set. But I think we've got a real struggle because of the financial situation that we're in with construction.
Yeah, that makes sense. And if I understand what you're saying correctly, AlDOT is just going to work down their priority list, and we're down the road a little bit.
Well, and they could do something different. I mean, they could decide not to do that one project and do some smaller projects under that project. But you could understand if I was the senator in that district and they bypassed my highway being the busiest highway in the state of Alabama, it would come with some wrath. And so, we have to be careful, what we do and when we do it. And I think Mr. Cooper has always been honest with us. He's always been fair to us in this district, very fair to us when we did the interchange on I-65. And he and I have a very good relationship, and I feel like he's being very honest with me.
That's what we need, is the facts, and I appreciate you offering that. So I'm going to let you go here, but one quick question. What can citizens look forward to in the week ahead from the Alabama State Senate?
Well, I hope I hope we get the budgets out next week. If we can get the budgets out to the House next week, that'll be a tremendous benefit to us. That will decrease the likelihood of another special session like we had last year that is unacceptable. I think we're going to look at the minimum wage bill that's coming up, and those are the big things I expect to come up this week.
Very good, Senator. Thanks so much for your time. I'll let you get back to it.
Glad to be here. Thanks.